All right, I call the conditional use hearing for the application by Three Creeks LLC at 2069 Bondsville Road, tax parcel 20-5-128, this November 16th of 2023. I'd like to turn it over to our solicitor at this point.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As the chairman indicated, this is a hearing on the application of Three Creeks LLC. Three Creeks is requesting conditional use approval pursuant to section 399-27C2 of the Township Code. They want to use and develop a property located at 2069 Bondsville Road, Chester County UPI number 30-5-128 as a traditional neighborhood development. As the chairman indicated, my name is Tom Esty. I'm the township solicitor, and I will be representing the Board of Supervisors in this hearing. The property is located in the R2 Residential Zoning District and the TND-2 Overlay Zoning District. Is there someone here this evening representing the applicant? We need him to come in.
The meeting, right.
Before we get to that, I see Mr. Foley here, and I presume you're here to represent East Brandywine Township.
Township Administration.
Thank you. And we'll enter your appearance and recognize the township as a party to the matter.
I want to mention the meetings is recorded as well as...
So the public knows the meeting is being audio recorded, and we also have a stenographer here, Miss Jennifer Guy, who is making a verbatim record of the proceeding. Mr. Carlos, are you here this evening representing the applicant? Very good, thank you. Before we get started, could you tell me, Mr. Carlos, about the ownership of Three Creeks? Who are the members or the principal owners of Three Creeks?
Glad to. I'd like to present Miss Julie Winter,
Thank you.
second owner.
Okay, and
Who was the second owner?
Luann Ross, is that correct? And keep in mind, you need to keep your voice up so everyone can hear you, especially the court reporter. My understanding is that Julie Winters and Luann Ross are related by family with Supervisor Jason Winters. Is that correct?
We didn't do a DNA test, but we believe so, yes.
And Julie Winters is in fact Jason Winters, Supervisor Jason Winters' sister, correct?
Correct.
Okay, well, I've previously advised Mr. Winters that he has a conflict of interest in this application under the Pennsylvania Public Official and Employee Ethics Act, and I would recommend to Mr. Winters that he recuse himself and abstain fully from any participation in this application and hearing in his official capacity. And I wanted to give Mr. Winters an opportunity to state his position on the conflict of interest.
Yes, my name is Jason Winters. I will be recusing myself for the potential conflict of interest due to the family member being the applicant.
Okay, but you intend to recuse yourself in any official capacity related to that?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Next thing we're going to address is whether there's anyone here in the audience that would like to become a party to the proceeding. In order to become a party, you have to have what we call standing, and that's something different than ordinary citizens and residents of the township would have regarding the application. So generally, if you're a nearby property owner, you would be entitled to standing. If you want to present evidence on the application at some point or make sworn statements about the application, you would have to request and become a party to the application. At the end of the hearing, which I anticipate will not be this evening, the board will give an opportunity for residents and taxpayers to make statements about the application. You don't have to be a party to be able to make those statements. That being said, is there anyone in the audience that would like to request party status? Seeing none, thank you. Next thing to address is we have a newly elected supervisor in East Brandywine Township, Mr. Francis Taraski, who will take office on January 2nd, 2024. I anticipate that a decision on this matter will not be made until 2024. So I'm requesting, and Mr. Taraski is here this evening in the audience. I'm requesting that the applicant's attorney and Mr. Foley consent to Mr. Taraski's participation in possibly participating in hearings, but definitely in making a decision on the application. To do that, he would review the transcript of the testimony and all the exhibits that are presented so he could make an informed decision about the application. That's satisfactory to council.
No, it is not.
You object to that?
Object.
Why?
Not sworn in. He's not duly to be a member of this panel. He should not be able to place a vote. And in the following year, but he's not sworn in yet.
Okay, but understand, real quick, he might have to get caught up to speed, and this might draw this process out. If you allow him to listen in now, it's totally different. He's gonna be caught up to speed. If he's not, there's no need for him to be here right now. He'll have to get caught up to speed in the new year.
Well,
Well,
he can stay here
Yeah,
and listen, he
absolutely.
can't participate.
Correct.
Let me clarify something. We are not suggesting that he participate now, because he is not, as you suggest, a member of the Board of Supervisors. What I'm requesting, that is if this decision goes into 2024, that he be allowed at that point to participate in the decision as a member of the Board of Supervisors.
If we go through this hearing tonight, doesn't the board have to vote on it by next meeting?
They do not. The board has 45 days from the close of the hearing to make a decision. I do not anticipate we're going to finish tonight.
Especially since we just hired an attorney just this meeting before this tonight.
So what I anticipate happening is that the matter will
So
be,
my clients are gonna lose rights because you just hired somebody.
they're not going to lose any rights.
Well, it's gonna be delayed.
It's not going to be delayed. This is the normal course of events in a conditional use hearing.
It's on the record.
It is on the record.
I still object.
Mr. Foley, do you have any objection?
No objection.
Okay, well, the board will take it under advisement. We won't make any decision tonight. Now I want to basically explain the procedure for this hearing. As I indicated, this is more or less a formal hearing. The board is hearing this case in its quasi-judicial capacity. A decision will be made based on the evidence presented and admitted into evidence at this hearing, including testimony and documentary exhibits. As I indicated earlier, testimony is being stenographically recorded by Jennifer Guy. It is imperative that only one person speak at a time, that all persons speak clearly and loudly, enough for everyone to hear, especially Ms. Guy. Ms. Guy will not be able to take down the testimony if two people are speaking at the same time or arguing or having conversations. I ask the audience not to engage in spontaneous statements or have conversations during the hearing so that we can make a proper record. If there's some reason you need to have a conversation, we ask you to leave the room. All people that are speaking must speak into the microphones. There's a microphone at each of the council table. We're going to have the witness sit up here to my left. There's a microphone there. and there's also a microphone at the podium. So, as I said earlier, the hearing is being audio recorded, so it's important for two reasons: to speak into the microphone, that fact, and also so everyone can hear. When somebody begins their testimony, they need to identify themselves by name, business, or home address, and for witnesses, their profession and employer. All the witnesses will be placed under oath by Ms. Guy. The order of the hearing is that the applicant will present its witnesses and evidence first. As I said, those witnesses will be sworn in. After the direct testimony of each witness, Mr. Foley will have an opportunity to cross-examine each witness. If there are individuals, entities who are parties, which there aren't, we don't have to have any party cross-examination. The applicant's attorney will then be given an opportunity to redirect his witness, and then there could be further cross-examination, and there might be redirect testimony. Each of the supervisors are entitled to ask questions about the applicant's witnesses or any other witness, but they're not required to. When the applicant is finished presenting all of its witnesses, the township, through Mr. Foley, will have an opportunity to present witnesses and evidence if that's what he decides to do. And the same procedure regarding examination, cross-examination, and recross and redirect will be followed. When the township is finished presenting its evidence, we'll give an opportunity for township residents and taxpayers to make statements. As the chairman indicated at the outset, we will hear evidence this evening until 9 o'clock. I anticipate we will not finish tonight, and I anticipate the hearing will be continued on the record to a date certain, which I anticipate being after the December PM board meeting, December 21st, 2023 at 6:30 PM. I have 7 board exhibits to initially identify. Exhibit B1 is the conditional use application with all attachments received by East Brandywine Township on September 18th, 2023. B2 are letters from myself, Township Solicitor, to Three Creeks LLC, dated October 25th, 2023, and November 3rd, 2023, notifying applicant of the hearing, place, date, and time. B3 is proof of publication in the Daily Local News on November 4th, 2023, and November 9th, 2023, of notice of this conditional use. B4 is a review letter from Nathan M. Klein, P.E. Township Engineer, dated October 22nd, 2023. B5 is a copy of East Brandywine Township Planning Commission draft meeting minutes from their meeting on November 1st, 2023. B6 is an affidavit of posting, evidencing posting of 2069 Bondsville Road with notice of the conditional use hearing. The posting was done on November 3rd, 2020. B7 is a verification of mailing notice of the conditional use hearing to adjacent property owners dated November 3rd, 2023, and a list of the property owners who received notice of the hearing. I've made copies of these exhibits and left copies of them on council's table. Is there any objection to those 7 exhibits being made part of the record? Carlos?
No objection from the township.
Thank you, Mr. Foley.
No objection.
Thank you. With that, Mr. Carlos, we'll turn the hearing over to you for a presentation of your witnesses.
Thank you. My name is Anthony Carlos. I represent Three Creeks LLC. Concerns a 3-acre tract south of Route 322 at 2069 Bondsville Road.
Once again, these microphones are not particularly effective, in my opinion, so you need to get relatively close to the microphone for it to operate. and I apologize for any inconvenience.
Again, my name is Anthony Carlos. I represent Three Creeks. This hearing tonight concerns a 3-acre tract south of Route 322 at 2069 Bondsville Road, to the north of recently completed Applecross Phase 5 townhouses. The applicant proposes to construct 21-unit townhouse community with associated improvements. The project will be designed and engineered to meet East Brandywine Township land development ordinances. We'll talk about more of that later. The tract is currently zoned R2 residential, and the TND-2 Traditional Neighborhood Development District overlay applies to this property, which the applicant seeks to utilize in order to implement its townhouse development. Public water and sewage disposal are proposed. The applicant is requesting a conditional use approval pursuant to section 399.27 C2 for traditional neighborhood development in the accordance with TND-2 Traditional Neighborhood Development Overlay District requirements, as well as requesting a modification for the reduced riparian corridor buffer on the parcel's western boundary along Bondsville Road in accordance with section 399.13.1 of your code. The applicant has 5 witnesses planned for the hearing. However, Solicitor Tom Ost advised the applicant yesterday remote appearances were not permitted, so the applicant has 4 witnesses planned for this evening. In order, they are Ms. Julie Winters, representing the applicant, Mr. John Kennedy, our project planner from Kennedy and Associates, Mr. Brian Boyer, our project engineer from Boyer Engineering, and Mr. John Winters, the previous owner of the parcel.
I'm sorry to interrupt, Mr. Carlos, and I couldn't hear you that well. You said something about requesting relief from the riparian buffer. Did I hear you say that?
Let me go back to my notes. Requesting modification for a reduced riparian corridor buffer on the parcel's western boundary along Bondsville Road in accordance with section 399.13.1 of the code.
And is it your position, I don't have the code in front of me, but is it your position that's permitted by conditional use?
Yes.
You realize that that was not requested in the application, and we didn't advertise or post the property with that request. So my advice to the board is we can let you go forward with that, but we'll have to re-advertise the hearing and repost the property, which we will do for the subsequent hearing.
May I have a moment?
Sure can.
Sorry, I thank the board for indulging us. We're going to resubmit our application. We're going to fix it. We're going to amend it and resubmit our application.
For what purpose?
For the riparian portion that we spoke about earlier, the modification.
So are you still going to proceed tonight, or?
Well, it'd probably be moot, because we might as well just do it all at one shot. I feel bad I have everybody here, but it's just, I'd rather be prepared and get it all in. It'll give us more time to work with the zoning, with the planning board.
Okay, well, can we go off the record for a minute? I appreciate that. Let's go back on the record. My point is that the board can only consider what you want them to consider. In other words, they can't consider alternative plans. So you need to present the plan to the board that you're seeking approval of. That's all. And if you think it's prudent to go back and amend the application and go back to the planning commission before we have this hearing, I think the board is fine with that. Is that acceptable?
I would think that that would be the proper protocol. If you are thinking of changing the plan and it was something that was going to get addressed tonight, I would think that that would go through the ranks, through the planning commission first.
So if it's your desire and you're requesting it, although we have a whole bunch of people here tonight, you can request a continuance until December 21st, following the 6:30 p.m. Obviously, that's the
Supervisor meeting.
I'm sorry, supervisor meeting.
Well, in the spirit of the Greater Guthriesville Development Project of bringing back Guthriesville, the village, I request a continuance till the next December 21st meeting.
Do you have any objection, Mr. Foley?
Of course not. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Right.
So therefore, this matter is continued on the record until Thursday, December 21st, 6:30 PM,
Following the supervisor.
following the Board of Supervisors meeting that evening. There will be no further publication or announcement unless there's a change to the application that we determine needs to be advertised. In that case, we will re-advertise it. That being said, Mr. Carlos, we need to know sooner rather than later if you're going to amend the application to request different relief or additional relief, because there are advertising requirements that
What's the lead time? Usually 2 weeks?
you need to advertise it for 2 successive weeks. The last advertisement not less than 7 days before the hearing. So I don't need to know today, but I need to know fairly soon. And we also need to send correspondence to the adjacent neighbors again. With that,
Are they intending to go before the are you intending to go before the planning commission? For the supervisors meeting with your revised plan?
Like, yes, please.
okay, very good. And that meeting is when, Luke, December?
It is the first Wednesday of each month.
Right.
In this instance, I hear the chairman in the audience say December 6th. But
Yes, the 6th.
Okay, then with that, we'll continue the hearing as previously indicated. Thank you, everybody.
Mr. Esty, before
Yes, sir.
you go off the record, not to step on anyone's toes, but it occurs to me that obtaining a revised plan in form suitable for submission to the Planning Commission on December 6th and giving them the required lead time to look at that might be difficult. Would it be advisable for you to announce a second possible continuance date for the January meeting in case the applicant determines that it's not going to be able to proceed December 6th and December 21st without having to re-advertise?
Have a fallback.
Well, what we would do is we would convene on December 21st, and we, if necessary, we'll continue it on the record.
Very well, thank you.
Advertising. The advertising for the, independent of them making a presentation to the planning commission?
Yes, that,
So there's just, because that wouldn't, if they can only make a, if we can only advertise after the planning commission, you don't have enough time.
Yeah, it went on
We only have
well,
2
I
weeks.
can advertise it as soon as I get something from Mr. Carlos.
Okay, so it's independent of the planning.
It
That was
is.
my question. Thank you. Good. That'll.
Okay, with that, we're continued for the evening. Thank you.